On the air with us now is Cindy Hyde-Smith, U.S. Senator, and I thank you live and in living color from Washington, D.C. How are you, ma'am?
We are good, but actually I'm in state this morning, Paul.
Oh, okay. That's
we had a little break.
Well, that's good. I mean, there are so many different things going on. I haven't talked to you since we've had some movement on the Yazoo pumps. Your thoughts on this, since you've worked so diligently on that over the years. Where are we with this one? Is this the final draw, or your analysis?
Well, I do think that we're in pretty good shape. You know, we thought that before, and I know there's so many people that live in that flood area that say, oh, here we go again. But, I think that on May the 5th, they announced what their referred pump situation, water management at the Yazoo back area was. And I think it's a good plan, according to the people that I trust, that that are the scientists behind this, that know they think it's a good plan. And, it was just a lot of hiccups along the way, and a lot of people are, they have their doubts. But I truly think that we're in a good position. It's still a long road ahead of us. We've got a lot of planning and design and some funding, and me being on the Appropriations Committee, I'm certainly committed to getting the funding that we need, but we've just been a long time at this. We have final preferred approach of June the 30th, which will be and that's from the Corps of Engineers. That will be subject to regulations. We've got to get through all of that from NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act, and of course the Clean Water Act. But they're accepting comments, and we're asking for people to comment on that. And, we're just committed to doing it. They just wanted it done under the Biden administration instead of the previous administration, which is fine as long as we get it done. But I do think we're in a good position.
It's hard to get excited when it's shot down time and time again. And I do it. And who knows what letter Benny Thompson's going to be drafting between now and June 30th. Hopefully he will find this one acceptable and palatable in its present form. So it optimistic but cautious is where we're going.
Yes, but more optimistic than anything else. I really am, because they're on board. They appear to be on board this time. So we'll just see what happens. But I think we're in a good position.
President, along with Speaker Kevin McCarthy, did meet again at the White House. They did this yesterday, but they still weren't able to come to any kind of decision on the debt ceiling. Speaking with the press after the meeting, Kevin McCarthy repeated that he would not agree to a clean debt ceiling bill without reductions in spending, something Biden has said is a problem, and they have not been able to come through that one. There were a couple of members of, I'm not sure if it was the House or Senate yesterday, I just saw some of the transcripts on them, that were highlighting some of the just absolutely asinine expenditures in this bill. And it literally adds up to tens, if not hundreds, of millions of dollars to other countries for things like gender modification, climate studies, just a lot of different things. When we talk about a clean bill, is McCarthy talking about basically taking those things out?
Yes, but what Kevin's referring to is the House bill. Mm-hmm. And, they're saying that's the only thing they're going to agree to. But, this is like the typical process. It's going to go down to the wire. Mm-hmm. And I think we've got about 8 days, and it'll be back and forth. Hopefully we can get some of the ridiculous stuff out of there. But, if we get into things that the House bill has in it, I mean, work requirements and the curb of spending, that's the things obviously this country needs. But we, it's called a negotiation process. Now, yesterday, from what I'm being told, they did make a little progress. I got a text Sunday that said the whole thing had blown up, and, it's just everybody walked away. But that's just part of getting there. And, June the 1st is kind of an imaginary line in the sand. And, we can work through some things and get some, a little bit after that. But I think we'll probably get there. But just thank God that, the House is the conservative approach here, and that they do have a little teeth now that they have a majority, and we'll come out with the best bill we can possibly get. It's not going to be one that I think that we all just love, but what we have to have is the best bill we can get to prevent this from happening in the future, to curb the ridiculous spending. Because, I mean, the president keeps saying that, I've already cut spending. That is the biggest falsehood in the world. It's just propaganda, and it's just getting through that. But we've got to get down to the real fish or cut bait time, and to come out with the things that we need to get us in better shape.
I don't know. When was the last time we did this? Have we ever defaulted? Well, I know we haven't in recent memory. And the way the vulnerability that we have in this economy right now seems to me probably the most inopportune time to even talk about it.
Oh, that's the deal. I mean, with this inflation, everybody is hurting, and it's just amazing the position we find ourselves in, all the businesses that you are well aware of. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, the FY24 budget totals was $7.4 trillion in tax hikes to pay for more spending. So we're talking about the basic fundamentals of economics just being thrown out the window, and it's just time for them to get serious. And right now, I can assure you, the things that they're throwing at us, they're not serious about negotiating. But I think that, the Republicans are holding the line, and it's just frustrating when the president, he holds himself blameless for the economy, and, he continues to play the exact same politics that guide us here in the national debt and out-of-control spending. And, it's just hopefully we can come to something. And the House members that I've talked to have told me that, this bill will do the things we need for it to do. It's a start. And that's what we need, is just to head in the right direction instead of further debt.
Well, we have two opposing ideologies as far as the economy is concerned. When you take a look at the Democrats and the Republicans, and it's been like that for quite a while. I doubt very seriously it's going to change. I was listening, and I combined these two between Kevin McCarthy and AOC. If you just want to put it down in audio and listen to this.
Inflation is not going up due to government policies. Inflation is going up due to Wall Street decisions.
On a 50-year average, we normally bring in 17% of GDP. We're bringing in 20%. You know how many times in history we've done that? Twice. 1944 and 2000. So if we're bringing in normally 17, we're bringing in 20, that means we're bringing in more money than any time in American history.
There you go. We are bringing in more money. That's two opposing views. She says it's Wall Street who's doing this. The problem we have is capitalism, not the government. Kevin McCarthy says, wait a minute, we're bringing in more tax dollars. We're taxing our people more than ever before, bringing in more money and spending the hell out of it.
There's no doubt. I mean, and that includes their $2 trillion American Rescue Plan.
Yes, that hasn't done squat.
Yeah, it spiked inflation to a 40-year high, Paul, a 40-year high. So,
and he takes no blame for this. I want to ask you about some people that you see on a daily basis sometimes, Dianne Feinstein, Senator Fetterman. What is going on with these folks? And are you going to change your dress code because it's becoming more and more relaxed? We will talk. We'll talk about that when we come back in just a moment. We'll be back live with Cindy Hyde-Smith, U.S. Senator, and talking about the interaction with some of her colleagues. Dianne Feinstein is back on the floor. Senator Fetterman, we are seeing more and more of his dress code. Every time I see him, I'm thinking about one of your colleagues, one of our friends, Trent Lott, and the decorum of the Senate. You think he gets heebie-jeebies when he sees Fetterman dressed in a hoodie and attending his duties as a senator?
I'm sure that he does, because Trent's always got that perfect look about him.
Yes.
But it is pretty, I mean, it's beyond unconventional, I assure you. Because when the other day I was walking through, and one day he had on a maroon hoodie, and he had his blue jeans on. And then a couple of days later, it was a beige one, but he had on his shorts. And he just goes to the door of the chamber.
Right.
And he looks at his staff, how do I vote? And he gives a thumbs up or a thumbs down, because he obviously doesn't come on the floor like that. But walking through the halls of the U.S. Senate like that is very common for him. And I will never understand that.
Yeah.
But he doesn't seem to have a problem with it at all. And he may think he's representing his people, but it sure doesn't reflect what Mississippi wants walking the halls, I don't think.
I think the operative word is think. I'm not sure if he's able to do that cohesively through just listening to some of what he's been saying. The other thing is this, and Governor Tate Reeves has called out some of the National Guard to go down and help on the border. It is not good there. The president was asked this.
I think things are going at the border, sir.
Much better than you all expected.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
Not in the near term, no.
Do you have any plans?
Things are going at the border, sir.
Yeah. Do you have any plans to attend to go to the border? Not in the near terms, no. So he's not. He continues to say he's not going to go to the border, but I think we can all feel good because the vice president is on board with this one, and she's had a myriad of successes. Would you like to recite some of those?
Well, it's amazing to me, even the comments that they make.
Yeah.
And we just got some data this week, and it was 211,000 over that were actually apprehended attempting to cross the border in April. That were actually apprehended. That is not talking about the getaways that are down there. And in December, it was almost 250,000. Mm-hmm. But this is the first time in history that monthly apprehensions at the southern border have surpassed 150,000 in 26 consecutive months. Think about that. And that's the ones that we apprehended. In 26 consecutive months, over 2 years, they have flooded into this country. And, they're giving these court dates that are like 2027, 2029. It is so intentional that we don't care who you are. We're just going to release you in here. And it drives me crazy that Secretary Mayorkas can sit there and say, well, it's a challenge, but, he won't call it a crisis. And then to think that with the end of Title 42, that, they just said we're unprepared for the surge. You just wonder, what do you think would happen? What would you think would happen during that time? But, it is just an open border agenda, and it's empowering the drug smugglers, the human traffickers, and what it's doing to the communities in this country. You've heard every state's a border state. It truly is. And it is just compounding a huge problem we already have. And the fentanyl overdoses in Mississippi, the increases of human trafficking, that's one thing that, Paul, when people say what really keeps you awake at night, that disturbs your inner consciousness, and it's that. You think, what event is going to happen in this country that would make 9/11 look like a fireworks show?
Were you given the opportunity to have a sat phone?
To have what now?
A satellite phone.
Oh, when I read that, I thought, I don't know anything about that. My office, there may be one in my office, but I'm not aware of it.
No, the story was that 50 senators said yes, and apparently those were the Democrats for the most part. But I was wondering if the Republicans were even offered that, or if it's wrong, if the story is wrong. They said
I was not aware of that at all.
So you haven't been given the opportunity. Your staff hasn't been notified that Senator Hyde-Smith, you are privy to, or you can get a free sat phone. So you haven't been given that memo.
I have not. I don't have a satellite phone, and if we've been offered it, I'm not aware of it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I was there on January the 6th. I'm the one that was running through the halls, running through the tunnels, and the cell phone worked just fine for that. You know, it's just they're trying to make such a statement here, and it's a pretty flimsy statement because of when something happens, you would have this satellite phone on you, and it's just another way to highlight what they want to highlight with the elections looming coming up. That's all that is.
I think everybody was worried too also, and it has nothing to do with this one because this one just happened, but there was a U-Haul that tried to crash into the wall of the White House. Was it overnight last night or late yesterday? And I'm not sure what the...
Yeah, early this morning.
Yeah.
I'd got some reports of that they had people out there. And, I'm sure this happens every once in a while.
Yeah.
So, and then, they're trying to relate it to the fertilizer that's missing off the truck or anhydrous ammonia or the train. So, I'm not aware of that, but it is amazing the things that are happening in the district. The lawlessness, the carjackings, because the police cannot pursue, and they do it right in front of the police. So they're very emboldened in the District of Columbia because they know that nothing is going to happen to them. Now, when you get into the White House situation, obviously that puts you in a different category. But I was aware of that, but don't know the details from this morning.
When you go back and you say that the President of the United States of America, regardless of who's the party controlling this, the number one job is to keep Americans safe. We've gotten so far from that under this administration. I constantly think of the people who border the border, the farm out, the ranchers and farmers, and even just the neighborhoods there that are that close. We had one rancher, I think his name was Jason Jones, and he kind of puts that in perspective.
Everything down here is in disarray. Everything is, it's horrible. It's horrible to have to live your life scared to death, wondering if is this the day that I'm going to have to pull my pistol and actually use it. I'm tired of picking up the trash. I'm tired of fixing fences. I'm tired of living every day of my life wondering what's next.
Of all of it that's occurring between the drug trafficking, the damage in your property, your friends and your neighbors leaving the area, not dealing with it anymore, what bothers you the most?
That my government doesn't give a damn.
You've been abandoned.
Been abandoned. And to me, that's treason. That's pure, unadulterated treason.
You know what, Senator, is so daunting about this is that with a President Trump back in office, or any Republican for that matter, with a Republican Senate, how fast that could change and be repaired.
Oh, absolutely. And, I've been there many times, Paul. And, we come back to our little safe havens and small communities, but we leave them down there living this. And they cannot, they all tell me, we can't take our trash out without a pistol. We cannot go and get something out of our car that's in the garage without a pistol. We cannot walk outside without a gun. And they are living that every day. And I don't see how they continue to do that, but I can certainly see how he truly feels abandoned by the government.
Absolutely.
Because those people are I was talking to some homeowners that said, we have to lock all the windows, because if you don't go to the door when they're beating on the door saying, take me somewhere, they will start coming through the windows. And they said people are walking in our yards all the time. Those farmers and ranchers that are out there, we were actually at Harris Ranch. It's in Uvalde County. And they had found a body that one of the smugglers had just killed and left the guy there at their front gate. And, it's every day. But to think that this administration is completely turning their back on this, completely.
All right. When do you head back to Washington?
We will be back Monday, but, we're on standby. We could have to go back in at any moment.
I got you.
Hopefully we'll get the deal, but I don't expect that. And I'm going to be at Forest today, at Raytheon. I'm doing all these tours today and have meetings this afternoon. So I'm actually in the car rolling. So when people say, "Are you on break?" Well, we're working, but we're just working in Mississippi.
I understand
we're
that.
Supposed to return Monday.
Safe travels to you. Thank you for taking the time. We got more coming up.